everyone, I'm Claire, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about why I only buy nail polish from 4 brands. If you've seen my other videos, they've been more hauls or talking about new releases, but this is just going to be a chatty video. I'm going to tell you my experience buying nail polish, a little about my collection, which brands I buy from, my reasoning, some exceptions, that kind of thing. So let's get into it. I want to start with a couple of disclaimers. First is that even though I only buy polish from 4 brands, that doesn't mean that I think that they're the best brands or the only brands that anyone should buy from or anything like that. There are so many brands out there, and honestly, I could probably find polish that I like from most of them, but then I would end up with more polish than I could actually use and appreciate, and I would rather limit myself to fewer brands than end up with too much polish. Also, I definitely don't judge people who buy from more brands or other brands. You should buy the polish that you like from the brands that you enjoy. I'm just talking about what I do, not saying everyone should do this. Okay, so as I kind of mentioned, the overarching reason that I only buy nail polish from 4 brands is that it's a way of keeping my polish collection at a manageable size. If I let myself buy the polish that I like from any brand, I would be tempted by so many polishes, but if I'm only buying the nail polish that I like from 4 brands, it naturally limits the number of polishes that I can consider buying. Now, to give some background on my nail polish purchasing, I started buying nail polish in September 2023 when Holo Taco released their collaboration with Sophia Nygaard. And around that same time, I started consuming nail polish content on YouTube, and a lot of those content creators, especially ones who get gifted product from brands, end up with thousands of bottles of nail polish, which in some ways sounds great, but at the same time sounds kind of overwhelming. And when I started to join online communities with people who are also into nail polish, I would see people talk about how they buy a lot of polish but don't actually end up being able to use all of it. Like in the Holo Taco Facebook group, people would say things like, I bought this collection 2 years ago and I'm just now getting around to trying the polish. So I was kind of aware from early on in this hobby that it's easy to accumulate a lot of polish, and I wanted to be careful about that. I know people talk about how collecting something like books or art supplies can be a separate hobby from actually using those things, and that's valid, I get that. But I know for me, I don't like collecting stuff just for the sake of having it, I want to use it. So that's why I'm trying to limit myself with how much polish I buy. As far as the actual numbers, I currently have just under 90 polishes if you only count ones that are actually in my possession, and just over 90 if you count ones that I've ordered that aren't here yet. I'm not sure exactly at what point I would start feeling like my collection is too big, but I know that I like the idea of being able to wear all of my polishes over the course of a year. So doing the math and considering that I paint my nails about once a week and wear an average of 3 polishes at once, then around 150 is the point where it would get harder to wear all of my polishes in a year. But we'll see how I feel if and when my collection actually gets to that point. Now, you might be wondering, if you want to keep your collection manageable, why this specific method? Why not set a budget or just limit the number of bottles you buy? And the answer is that arbitrary rules or rules that I set for myself just don't usually work for me. Like in college, if I had a paper due Friday, I could tell myself that I wanted it done by Wednesday, but I would only actually be motivated by the deadline that affected my grade and not the one I set for myself. So it would get done Friday. And with nail polish, if I told myself I could buy 5 bottles each month, but there was a 6th one that I really liked, it wouldn't really feel like there was a good reason not to get it. Or if I told myself I could spend $50, but then I had other money that wasn't going towards necessities or other fun things, then it's like, well, do I really have to stick to the $50? And even though the 4 brands thing might just seem like another one of those arbitrary rules, there are some reasons that it feels a bit more real to me and that it's easier to stick to. One is that I like to have a fairly uniform looking collection. Like, I think if I shopped polish pickup regularly and had 1 polish from one brand and a couple from another, The variety would bother me a little. It's just nice to see a lot of the same bottle on display on my dresser or in my Helmer. And I'm also just overwhelmed by the idea of shopping from a bunch of brands. There are so many brands out there, from mainstream to boutique to indie, so I'd have to keep up with releases and where you can buy polishes and how long something will be available, like if it's a limited edition collection or certain indies do pre-orders or their websites are only open for a certain time frame and they can only keep so many polishes in stock at once. And then you have to keep track of which brands have racist owners or are problematic in other ways. And not to mention, if I were trying to allocate a budget among a bunch of different brands, it would be so hard to make decisions. Like, oh, Holo Taco released a limited edition collection, and Lurid is doing a prototype sale, and what about the OPI Wicked collection? And the Cadillacquer advent calendar looks fun, and there's a bunch I like from Polish Pickup, and now there's a new Island P collection. Just, no thank you. I know obviously not everyone who buys from a lot of brands keeps up with all of that. What they buy probably depends on what they happen to see and what they prioritize, but I feel like if I gave myself all the options, I would put too much pressure on myself to make the right choice about what to buy. So I just stick to my 4 brands, and of course also consider how much fun money I have in a given month. And that's working for me so far, and I can enjoy other brands by watching reviews and browsing Polish Pickup and that kind of thing. So that's why I only buy from 4 brands, and now I want to get into which 4 brands they are and why I chose them. If you watch my content, you might know 3 of them, but the 4th will be a surprise. So as I mentioned before, my first nail polish purchase, aside from the occasional drugstore polish, was from Holo Taco. They're often referred to as a boutique brand since they are independently owned, unlike the big mainstream brands, but they're a lot bigger than the indie brands that are basically one-person operations. Holo Taco has employees and a warehouse and all of that. My first purchase from them was the Sophia Nygaard collab that came out in September 2023. That collection is really how I got into nail polish. I liked nail polish before, but I would get annoyed because it would always chip really fast, and if I painted my nails every few days or every couple weeks, my nail plate would get super dry and damaged from the nail polish remover, so I would have to take a break from painting and let my nails recover. And because of that, I had just kind of given up on painting my nails, but then Sophia and Holo Taco announced the collab, and I knew right away that I wanted to get it because I'm a big fan of Sophia. I love her videos, and I was only really aware of Christine and the Simply Nailogical YouTube channel and the Holo Taco brand through Sophia. So I was excited about the collab, but they announced it earlier in the summer and it didn't come out until September, so I needed somewhere to direct my excitement. And that's when I started watching a lot of Simply Nailogical videos and live streams from the Simply Not Logical channel. And through those, I learned a lot about how to paint my nails and have the polish stay on, and I learned how to keep my nails healthy. So when it got to September and I ordered the collection, I was actually equipped to use it correctly and have the polish stay on and not dry out my nails, and that really rekindled my enjoyment of nail polish. So I've continued to purchase Holo Taco, partly because they have a special place for me as the brand that got me into this hobby, partly because there's such a community around the brand with the live streams and the Facebook group and everything, and partly because they make a good, consistent product. They are definitely the brand that I have the most of. I've placed 12 orders from them, and I have 59 of their polishes. I know a lot of people have strong feelings about Holo Taco, whether positive or negative. I'm never going to be one to say that they're the best brand, or they make the most unique polishes, or anything like that, because there are a lot of good brands out there, and a lot of interesting polishes, but I've enjoyed my experience purchasing from Holo Taco. The next brand is Mooncat, which is another boutique brand like Holo Taco, also based in the US. When I first started following Holo Taco on Instagram, my algorithm was like, oh, you like nail polish? And I started getting a lot of Mooncat ads. I did eventually also get ads for other brands, but at first it was just Mooncat. So really the reason I first started buying from them is that the advertising got to me. Mooncat's vibe as a brand is very edgy, and we're not like other nail polish. And on the one hand, I'm like, okay, you're kind of trying a little hard. But on the other hand, I'm like, I want to be edgy and different too. And I heard mostly good things in reviews. They do have a problem at times with unrealistic photos and batch issues, and more recently exploding bottles, but I heard enough positive things to feel comfortable trying them, so I placed my first order in March 2024. I don't remember exactly what prompted me to order then. I think I might have been rewarding myself for finishing something grad school related, and I had been watching reviews for a few months at that point and had a few things on my wish list. So I started with 4 polishes, and I've since placed 3 other orders for a total of 17 polishes. And I've been happy with my Mooncats. They make some nice shimmers and flakies and magnetics, and their bottles are cool, so I do plan to keep purchasing from them. Oh, and the other reason that I enjoy shopping both Mooncat and Holo Taco is that the availability of their polishes is pretty predictable. Some brands might sell on their own website and be on Amazon and be in some physical stores, so certain items could be in stock one place and not in another. Holo Taco does sell some of their polishes in Ulta, and I think Mooncat has some international stockists, but for the most part you can just go to their respective websites and know what's available. Also, they let you know up front if something is going to be limited edition, and they give some warning when they discontinue polishes. So you kind of know when you might want to get something right away and when you can wait for a sale. Alright, the next brand is Cadillacquer. They're an indie brand whose owner lives in Switzerland. I think European customers can order directly from the brand, but for customers in the US and other places, they're available from some stockists or websites that offer products from a few different brands. Personally, I've ordered them from What's Up Nails. My first order was in July 2024, and I've made 2 other orders since then for a total of 9 polishes. And they're also part of Polish Pickup, which is a monthly collaboration among a lot of indie brands, and I've gotten 1 Cadillacquer polish from there in August 2024. I first started to be interested in Cadillacquer when I saw them on Kelly Marissa's YouTube channels. I think I saw one of her vlogs where she was opening the Cadillacquer advent calendar, and she also does full collection reviews. The polishes really stood out to me as having unusual glitter or unique color combinations, which is something you tend to see more in indies versus boutique or mainstream brands, though that's not a universal rule by any means. For a while, I was kind of just admiring Cadillacquer from afar, but the polish that really solidified my decision to place an order was Many Moons. It's a thermal polish with a bunch of round glitters in it that kind of disappear when the polish is in its darker cold state and reappear when it's in the lighter warm state. It's just really cool, and I hadn't seen anything like it, and I knew that I would keep thinking about it and wanting it if I didn't get it, so I placed my order. And I've been really happy with all of the polishes that I've purchased from Cadillacquer. They have nice formulas and they look how I expect them to. I will say, I feel like lately they haven't been doing quite as much with interesting glitter combinations. Like their winter collection was just all thermals with iridescent flakes, which were pretty, but not that exciting. But their spring collection is looking a little more promising. They're starting to reveal the shades this week. I might actually make a video reacting to that collection, so subscribe if you'd like to see that, I guess. And I do plan to keep ordering from Cadillacquer, but how frequently will probably depend on how often they do polishes that feel like something that I can't get from other brands. And the 4th brand that I order from is Lurid Lacquer. Lurid is a very recent addition to the list, so I haven't featured them on my channel yet because I only actually have 1 of their polishes so far, a few more on the way. But they're another small indie brand, a pretty new one as far as I know. I think the owner lives somewhere in the Midwest. I was first interested in them after seeing them on the Polished Bookworms YouTube channel. Alyssa does the most beautiful swatches, and I think it was the Unshakable Sense of Foreboding collection that I first saw her review in the fall. It had a lot of shimmers with reflective glitters, which is a finish that I think is really pretty, but I don't see it as much from the other brands that I order from. And the other fun thing about Lurid is that the brand owner writes poetry and will often use lines from her poems as polish names. And I'm also a poet and think poetry doesn't always get the love and attention that it deserves, so it's cool to see it being used by a brand like that. That's one of the reasons they stood out to me compared to other brands, and they also just make some really pretty polishes. So from that point, they were on my radar as a brand to possibly order from, but the Lurid website isn't always open for purchases. I think because it's a one-person operation, it would be too much to handle to have orders coming in all the time. So the website will be open for a certain time frame, and then it closes while the owner takes some time to get things shipped out, and then it opens again a few weeks later. I placed my first order when the shop was open in February this year. There were some past polishes that were being restocked, and then also some mystery prototypes for sale. I ordered 4 things, and they're supposed to ship in the next week or so I will definitely review them on this channel when they arrive. Lurid is also part of Polish Pickup and Hella Handmade Creations, which is another collaboration among indie brands. I got their February Hella Handmade polish, which got to me a few days ago, and I also ordered their March polish pickup shade, which should get to me in a few weeks. So at this point, I can't really speak to the quality of the brand or if I'll continue to purchase from them, but I'm really excited to get a few of their polishes to try, and I'll let you know if I end up enjoying them. Okay, so those are the 4 brands that I order from and why I chose them. I do just want to mention a couple of exceptions/caveats. One thing is that I consider base and top coats to be an exception to my 4 brands rule. I don't think of them the same way as other polishes because they're almost like a tool or something peripheral to the hobby. So the same way that I have nail polish remover or magnets that aren't from those brands, I can get top and base coats from other brands. And I know that my purchases of top and base coats aren't going to get out of hand because they don't come in fun colors. As of now, I do actually use Holo Taco base coats and the Mooncat quick dry top coat. The only thing that's not from those brands is my glitter smoothing top coat, but at some point I might look into some cheaper options, especially to use during swatching. And then the other thing is that I'm not saying I'll stick to these brands forever. There might be a point where one of these brands doesn't interest me anymore and I stop buying from them. Or I might add another brand at some point, like if another indie really stands out to me, or if I get gifted polish or win something in a giveaway and discover a new brand that I like that way. But if I add another brand, I definitely want it to be something that I consider carefully and not something that I do impulsively. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for listening to me over-explain my purchasing habits. You can let me know what you think in the comments, or tell me about any strategies that you use to keep your nail polish collection manageable. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like, or maybe even subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!